course on Science and Technology of Yoga and Meditation, sponsored by UGC at the UGC Human Resources Development Center, Bhagat Phool Singh, Mahila Vishwavidyalaya, Khanpur, Kalan. Today we have amongst us Dr. Kashinath Samgandi. He is Associate Professor in Department of Sanskrit and Yoga at National Institute of Ayurveda, Jaipur. National Institute of Ayurveda has recently been upgraded to the status of deemed university in the de novo category last month. Dr. Samgandi has more than 12 years of experience in teaching, clinical and research. His areas of expertise include Ayurveda, dietetics, lifestyle and therapeutic yoga. Dr. Samgandi has represented Government of India at various international platforms, the foremost being at WHO and the Geneva Health Forum. He has also represented Government of India as yoga expert at the embassy in Beijing, China and Kyrgyzstan. He has 62 talks and more than 20 yoga demonstrations at international level to his credit. And he has also been involved as a subject expert of APW, which was a WHO project. We are privileged to have Dr. Kashinath Samgandi among us. Sir, I welcome you on behalf of UGC-HRDC and Bhagat Phool Singh Mahila Vishwavidyalaya, Khanpur, Kalan. So may I request you to please share your thoughts with our participants today. Please, sir.
Thank you, Piyush. Can I share my screen? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Perfectly.
So before I start my session, just I would like to know how many of you belongs to the Ayurveda fraternity and how many of you belongs to the yoga fraternity?
Sir, we do not have any participant from the Ayurveda fraternity, though 4 people are from the yoga background, working in Department of Yoga, and a participant group, it includes participants from the department, from different departments like sports, physical education, philosophy, sociology, chemistry, geography. So we have a varied audience.
Actually, reason behind asking this question is that because we know that Ayurveda and yoga they move hand in hand, and there are lots of concepts which are well elaboratively explained in Ayurveda concept. So Ayurveda. So if you imbibe that knowledge, that will be very easy to understand the concept of yoga. So by seeing these things, I have to even touch bit about the Ayurveda principles, it seems, because then only they will be able to understand what exactly yoga wants to say. Okay, we will start with session. Piyush, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. It is properly visible.
Yad jagratam duram mudeti duram tato suptasya tatayveti durangamam jyotisham jyotirmadde tanme manashiva sankalpamastu. Good morning, everyone, and welcome you all for today's session. Before I start today's session, I would like to thank UGC HRD and Dr. Piyush for giving this opportunity. The topic which I am going to discuss today is very interesting topic, and you might be knowing about the schools of yoga, and many people still they feel that there are lots of variation in schools of yoga. So what is the purpose of making of schools of yoga? What was the reason behind the formation of yogi schools of yoga? If we understand, then easily we can imbibe the concept of schools of yoga in day-to-day practice. If you don't have the knowledge of schools of yoga, obviously you can't practice and you can't imbibe the good yoga for yourself, because each and every individual is different. Each and every minds are different. So according to the mind, according to the body structure, you are supposed to accept the different schools of yoga. So that is the reason it is a foremost and fundamental of yoga, whenever you are practicing anything, you are supposed to understand schools of yoga. According that, after that, you will be able to accept which kind of yoga is suitable for your particular body. So title of today's presentation is Schools of Yoga, that is boon for mankind. So here in title itself, initially I thought to give the different title in such a way that schools of yoga, whether it is a boon or whether it is a sin for mankind. Because if I give the title in such a way, and you will be having lots of confusion. Why I didn't give one? Because if I give that one, again, you may don't rely upon the schools of yoga. That is the reason I modulated, but in your modulated in such a way that schools of yoga, boon for mankind. But in detailed explanation, I will explain why sometimes some schools of yoga are also considered as the sin. Because nowadays we know that many yoga schools are mushrooming like anything. Certain schools of yogas are mushrooming are there, which are totally deviated from the principles of yoga. So such kind of schools may act as a sin. That is the reason. So in my slides, I will explain what is the how to understand which is the good schools of yoga. So before we start, what is yoga and what are the schools of yoga? So first we need to understand what exactly, for what purpose the yoga took its generation. Why it came to existence. So we know that in very first sloka of Ayurveda and even very first sloka in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, there is a beautiful explanation that yogena chittasya padena vacha malam sharirasya tu vaidikena. So yogena chittasya, even same reference, even it's also there in the Ayurveda. Patanjalim Mahabhashat Charaka Pratisamskrutam Manovak Kaya Doshanam Harte Ahipate Namaha. So the concept of yoga and concept of Ayurveda, literally they believe that yoga is preferably meant for chitta vyadis. Chitta is nothing but the mind. That is yogena chittasya. Whenever the person is suffering from any mental disorders, any disorders where there is an involvement of the mind, at that time there is a very much essential of acceptance of the yoga. So yoga preferably, classically what they mentioned is that yoga is preferably meant for promotion, preservation of the mental health, promotion of the mental health, and also yoga is preferably helpful for the managing the lots of mental disorders. But when we see the various component of yoga, I think you might be knowing about the Raja Yoga, in simple way, Yama, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. These are the components of Raja Yoga. Why it is called as Raja Yoga? It's a royal, it's a king of all yoga schools. So here, these 8 components of Raja Yoga not only help to maintain the mental health, but it also helps to maintain the overall health. Because we all know that what is health. Health doesn't only stick, it don't limits to the only mind. Health consists of physical component, physical health, mental health, social health, and spiritual health. So nowadays, most of the time, yoga is used as the component which helps to develop the overall health. It not only stick on to the developing of the mental health, but also it will help to develop the overall health. This is the present scenario. In the concept of, in the text of yoga and in text of Ayurveda, they mentioned preferably they are essential for the managing the mental disorders. But in present scenario, it is used to develop the overall health, all the facets of the health, whether it is a physical, mental, social, and spiritual health. How it is now how they are using this yoga to uplift all the facets of the health, we will discuss while discussing about the schools of yoga. So very simple way, in this slides, just I want to say that yoga is preferably meant for the uplifting the mental health and also to manage all the mental disorders. This is the concept of yoga, as well as this is the concept of Ayurveda. So before we discuss in detail about the schools of yoga and school, we need to know a bit about what is the present scenario. We know that same thing before 10 or 20 years before, there was a hike of the communicable diseases. Communicable diseases were more, whether it may be the malaria, whether it may be the tuberculosis, or whether it may be dengue, like that. Lots of communicable diseases are very high 20 years before. Later, these diseases were superseded by the non-communicable diseases. Non-communicable diseases are nothing but diseases which are not spreading from the person to person. For example, diabetes, hypertension, even cancer. So these are the some of the non-communicable diseases. Now the incidence of non-communicable goals. So according to the sustainable occurred by the impaired lifestyle, that is बिगड़ा हुआ जीवन शैली से जो diseases उत्पन्न होते हैं उन सभी को non communicable disease होते हैं. आजकल the percentage of occurrence of non communicable diseases are more. Just what I want to say is that yoga is preferably best for combating the all sort of non communicable diseases. So this is the one of the very much this is the present scenario of how exactly mind is affecting the cause of lots of non-communicable diseases. You might be seeing that. So here, just a bit, yeah. So here, see, most of the diseases, it may be the asthma, whether it may be the rheumatoid arthritis or any kind of arthritis, whether it is a cancer, whether it is a heart disease or diabetes or anything. So most of the non-communicable diseases are mainly because of increase in the mood disorders. Mood disorders are nothing but the because of mental disorders. तो ज्यादातर कोई भी बीमारी हम आजकल देख रहे हैं in the under the heading of non-communicable disease, वो हर चीज किससे डिपेंडेंट है? माइंड से. So because of mental disturbance, because of mood disorders, most of the non-communicable diseases are there, and lots of not only the psychological disorders. There are lots of psychosomatic disorders where there is an involvement of the mind. That is the reason even Ayurveda and yoga, as I stated in the early slide, so yoga is preferably meant for the chitta, yogena chittasya. So whenever there is an involvement of mind directly or indirectly, then there is a requirement of the application of the yoga. So that is the importance why we should know about the yoga. This is very much essential in present scenario to combat all sort of non-communicable diseases like diabetes, heart disease, cardiac disease, cancer, asthma. So this is the importance of yoga, why we are supposed to understand. It's not just it is only limited to the certain peoples. Most of the people, they think that when people have lots of misconceptions regarding the yoga. They think that it is not for us, it is for some other people. So we need to take out this misconception from each and every public, because when each and every public start to understand what is yoga, when they start accepting and when they start practicing, then we can prevent lots of non-communicable diseases, as we just discussed. So what are those misconceptions which is preventing the people from practicing the yoga? So these are the very much accepted misconceptions. People, when many surveys says that these are the some of the major misconceptions which is there in the mind, which is inhibiting the each and every people from accepting the yoga. ये बहुत सारे misconceptions है, इसीलिए इस misconceptions के कारण बहुत सारे लोग योगा अभ्यास नहीं कर रहे. क्या misconceptions है? First one is people think that when it is only meant for the sages. आजकल ज्यादातर बाबा लोग बहुत अच्छे से प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं, बट इसको देखते हुए lots of people they think that when it is only meant for the sages. No, it is not only. As we all know that what is the purpose of yoga. योग का उद्देश्य क्या है ultimately, and आयुर्वेद का भी उद्देश्य दोनों का एक है, that is मोक्ष prapti, that is to attain the salvation. But when we say that moksha, most of the people will think that one, okay, moksha ये योगी लोग ही पा सकते हैं, और जो बाबा लोग हैं जो इन्हीं को ही ये साधना होता है और यही लोग इसको अपना पा सकते हैं मोक्ष. But moksha, the concept of understanding of moksha is also somewhat deviated. But moksha का मतलब ये नहीं है कि the main concept of yoga is to attain the moksha, or पुरुषार्थ चतुष्टय, धर्म अर्थ काम मोक्ष, इन चारों को पाने के लिए योग को हम अपनाना है। अल्टीमेट एम क्या है? मोक्ष को अपनाने के, मोक्ष को पाना। बट मोक्ष को पाने से पहले बहुत सारे स्टेप्स ऐसे हैं कि वी शुड मेंटेन योर हेल्थ। योगा इज नॉट ओनली लिमिटेड टू दी sages, or it is not only limited to the priest, or not only limited to the babas, but it is acceptable and it is meant for each and every public. आप कोई भी काम कर रहे हैं, उस काम में आपको सफलता चाहिए, तो आप स्टूडेंट है, if you want to get good marks in the examination, so ultimately examination में good marks लेने के लिए he should have a good concentration, good memory power. So if the person if a student start practicing yoga, then obviously concentration and memory is increased. When this concentration and memory is increased, obviously he will be top in the examination. Getting the topmost seat in the examination is the moksha for particular student. स्टूडेंट्स को क्या चाहिए? स्टूडेंट्स को अल्टीमेटली अच्छा मार्क्स आना है, एंड ही शुड पास विथ डिस्टिंक्शन मार्क्स. इफ ही अचीव दैट वन बाय द योगा, देन फॉर दैट पर्सन इट इज द मोक्ष. सो मोक्ष हमेशा यही नहीं हो क्या कि मृत्यु के बाद जो हमें प्राप्त होता है वो मोक्ष नहीं. मोक्ष इज समथिंग दैट विच कैन बी अचीवेबल, विच इफ यू हैव सम टारगेट, इफ यू रीच दैट टारगेट, and if you get that target, then that is the moksha for you. So in such a way you should understand, you should explain this concept to each and every people, then only they will practice. So it is not only limited to the sages. Another, most of the people, they think that it is a religious act. No, yoga doesn't prefer to worship particular god. It doesn't show that there is an involvement of the religion. So the yoga is something which is open for everyone. So this concept you should imbibe. So see, whenever we are practicing certain procedures like meditation, you people are practicing nowadays meditation in the morning. Here in meditation also they want to make you to focus on any particular religion. So it all left over the participant. आप हिंदू है, हिंदू के हिसाब से कोई भी आप मूर्ति का मनन कर सकते हैं, ध्यान कर सकते हैं. मुस्लिम है, आपके हिसाब से आपका जो भी भगवान है उसका आप ध्यान कर सकते हैं. क्रिश्चियन है, इस तरह. So it doesn't only make you to follow Hinduism or any other customs. It is not a religious, but people are incorporating the religious matter, but it is not so. It is acceptable and it is meant for all the religion. And it is not only spiritual practice. As I stated, मोक्ष का प्राप्ति ही नहीं है, उसके अलावा भी आपको जो मन में है और जो आप पाना चाहते हो वो पाना भी मोक्ष होता है. So it is not purely a spiritual practice, and it is not only meant for the sport person. Most of the people, they say that yoga is meant for sports, because so in sports there is a requirement of the good motor actions, there is a requirement of the stamina, there is a requirement of the vitality. So इसलिए yoga ज़्यादातर this is meant for the sports. No, so it is all meant for each and every person. The people who are working in the house, it may be the women, or it may be the person who is working in even in polar regions, the people who are working in the submarines, especially the all army peoples who are working in navy peoples who are working in the submarine, the people who are in the satellite, for them also it is indicated. Yoga is for everyone. No, it is not for it's not only for the sports. And very, very important thing is flexibility. People think that one yoga is preferably for those people who will having the flexibility. So yoga is not about the bending. It is not about the bending of your body, but it is about the bonding of your body. So it is not a bending flexibility. You should have good bending. And most of the people don't practice yoga because they feel that we have rigidity in our body, so we can't do any padastasana, we can't do any inverted postures, so we don't have flexibility, so it is not meant for us. So people will think so that, but it is not like that. It is not about the flexibility. If your mind is stable and if you are able to achieve what you want, then that is yoga. So it is not the just bending of the body, but it is the bonding of the mind, or bonding of the mind and body is called as yoga, not just the bending. If you don't have flexibility, just need not to think about doing the asanas. You can practice the pranayama, you can practice the meditation, so that can be considered as the yoga. So it is not just a flexibility, it has many more arena, so it is meant for everyone. And age matters. ज़्यादातर लोग मैं देखा हूँ especially most of the after 40 years, people will stop practicing the yoga. They will just adopt the just walking. But it is not like that. There is no any limitation for age. Yoga is meant for all the people. So if you are old age, then rather than going for any physical activity, rather than going for practicing any asana, you can go for practice of pranayama. You can practice dharana, dhyana, samadhi. You can practice meditation. That will also comes under the yoga. So there is no any age limitation. It is acceptable and it is open for all age people. And most of the people, coming to the last part, ambience. Ambience is nothing but the suitable environment. सभी लोग सोचते हैं कि यार योग करने के लिए हमें मॉर्निंग समय होना चाहिए, योगा मैट होना चाहिए, and we should have good yoga costumes. People will think in such a way, and they will stop practicing the yoga, or they won't initiate the starting to practice the yoga. But yoga doesn't literally stick on to that you should have you should practice yoga in the morning, you should practice with a particular dress, you should practice on the mat. Yoga never refers that one. Nowadays people to commercialize the yoga, they are making such points, but yoga doesn't mention about the ambience. But so nowadays you know that there is a people are practicing the yoga in office, what we call office yoga. आप सभी जानते होंगे, ऑफिस में बैठ के भी आप योगा कर सकते हैं, ऑफिस योगा. So again, what I want to say is that Ayurveda yoga doesn't refers that you should have ambience. आपको कहाँ भी छोटा सा कमरा है, आपको थोड़ा भी comfortable है तो then you can practice. It always doesn't refer you to wear all the good dress and you should have yoga mat. No, ambience can be made out. आपके अनुसार आपको वातावरण को आप क्रिएट कर सकते, क्रिएट करके आप कर सकते हैं. ऐसे नहीं कि हमें दिन में ही करना है और यही ड्रेस पहन के करना है, योगा मैट यूज करके करना है, ऐसे कहाँ भी नहीं है. सो ये कॉन्सेप्ट भी बहुत सारे लोगों को योगा अभ्यास करने में रोकता है. इसीलिए ऐसे कॉन्सेप्ट्स को दिमाग में हटा दीजिए. ऑफिस में भी बैठ के आपको 10 मिनट भी मिला समय, यू कैन प्रैक्टिस दी योगा. एंड इवन फॉर माय स्टूडेंट्स आई एडवाइस बिफोर यू एंटरिंग इनटू द वाइवा, जब बच्चे वाइवा लेने के लिए जाते हैं ना, उनको दे विल गो फॉर एनी एज ए ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन इन योगा प्रैक्टिस. दीज आर द मेजर मिसकॉन्सेप्ट ट्राई टू टेक आउट फ्रॉम द मोस्ट ऑफ द पब्लिक. अगेन वी थिंक दैट am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So again, so most of the time we feel that yoga, when we think yoga has asana, it has meditation practice, and it has pranayama. Most of the time we stick on to this concept. Yoga बोले तो उसमें आसन होता है, प्राणायाम होता है, और like धारणा, ध्यान, समाधि या any meditation procedure होता है. यही योगा हम सोचते हैं. But elements of yoga, not only it consists of only these activities, but it has many more. ये concepts लोगों में नहीं है, because without, if you don't have the concept of these other components, then you can't attain the good result from the yoga. What are those components? Yoga also refers about the how your food pattern should be, how your food etiquette should be. Yoga says that if you want to get the good result of yoga, if you want to attain the moksha, or if you want to attain all the health status of all the facets of your health, physical health maintain karna hai, mental health, social health maintain karna hai, to yoga also says that along with practicing the asana, pranayama, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, even you should much focus about the food pattern. How the food should be? It should be hitakar ho. It should be mitahara, that is quantitatively मितकर मात्रावत आहार लेना है, एंड इट शुड बी प्रिफरेबली सात्विक आहार. बिकॉज आप सभी को मैं बताना चाहूंगा, योग शास्त्र में योग प्रतिबंध करा भावा बोल के आता है. योग प्रतिबंध करा भावा, दैट इज दीज भावास व्हिच एक्ट एज ए ऑब्स्टेकल्स टू प्रैक्टिस द योगा. So what are those obstacles? पहला आता है अत्याहार प्रयासश्च. अत्याहार का मतलब है excessive intake. If you have a habit of eating more than the मात्रावत, मिताहार तो लेना है, but if you have the practice of taking more than the required quantity, if you have the adhika matra ahara, then that will act as a major obstacles in achieving the yoga siddhis. So यहाँ ये बोलना चाहते हैं कि खाली आसन, प्राणायाम, धारण, ध्यान, समाधि के साथ साथ आप मात्रावत आहार भी लेना है. फिर मात्रावत आहार कैसे हम डिसाइड करना है, जो स्लाइड्स में पढ़ेंगे. मात्रावत क्या होता है, सात्विक आहार का मतलब क्या है, किस किस आहार को हम सात्विक आहार मानेंगे. और योग अभ्यास करते समय योग शास्त्र में डायरेक्टली बताया गया है कि क्षीराज्य भोजनम, प्राणायाम का सिद्धि आप पाना चाहते हैं, व्यायाम का सिद्धि, आसन का सिद्धि पाना चाहते हैं, तो यही बोलते हैं कि पहले पहले यू शुड स्टार्ट विथ क्षीराज्य भोजनम. व्हाट इज क्षीराज्य भोजनम? Food which is dominant in the kshira. Kshira is nothing but the cow milk, and it should be dominant in ajja. Ajja yani it's a ghee. It should be dominant in the cow ghee. Cow ghee and cow milk are the mandatory satvika ahara which are supposed to be taken by the yoga practitioner. But आजकल ऐसा नहीं होता. Even the people who are having the non-vegetarian, they will also indulge into the yoga practice. But if you want to get the good result, preferably stick on to the satvika ahara. Satvika ahara never recommend to go for intake of the non-veg. No, it doesn't refers to intake of mamsahara. It refers to intake of Falahara. It refers to intake of Shakahara, that is vegetables, fruits, or any grains can be taken when the person is practicing the yoga to get the yoga siddhis. So this is the other component which is totally missing in the day-to-day practice. आप जहां भी योगा सीखने जाते हैं, कोई भी बंदा आहार के बारे में नहीं बताता. If you don't focus on these things, then you can't get the all yoga siddhis. If you want yoga siddhis, you should stick on to the ahara. And another component which is present in the yoga is that vihara. Vihara yani Ayurveda, yoga always states that before or after, whenever you are performing, whenever you are practicing yoga, you should stick on to such activities. Shaucha. Shaucha is nothing but the maintaining the hygiene of your body. So you should regularly indulge in regular bath and wearing the clean clothes, and always thinking positive, always worshipping the God or godly men, always try to be joyful, and always indulge in japa like any mantrocharana. So these are the some of the activities yoga says. If you want to attain the yoga siddhi, even you should accept these activities. हर दिन आप नहाना है, शुद्ध रहना है, अच्छे कपड़े पहनना है, और जपा मंत्र का उच्चारण करते रहना है. ये भी एक विहार है जो योग का कंपोनेंट है. लोग इसको प्रोपोगेट नहीं करते, बट वी शुड डू. इफ यू वांट टू बिकम ए गुड योगा प्रैक्टिशनर, you should stick on to ahara, vihara, and vyavahara. Even yoga says that how you should be vyavahara, because it says that ishwara pranidhana, that is, as I stated, that you should always indulge in positive things. You should always indulge in worshipping the ishwara. Ishwara is nothing but the god or godly person or godly men, or it may be the teachers, or it may be parents, or it may be the elder. You should always respect and you should always worship them. So this is the one of the part and parcel of vyavahara. And janasanga parityaga, yoga says that janasanga, you should not indulge in lots of making social relation, because we know that social relation, if it is good, then it is good. If some clashes will happen, then obviously your psychology is disturbed. इसलिए हर चीज, हर आप कोई भी रिलेशन बनता है, उसका एक डिस्टेंस मेंटेन करने के लिए भी योग बोलता है जनसंग परित्याग, नियमाग्रह. यानी इवन योगा सेज दैट हर एक रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस, जो भी सामाजिक रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन हो या योग से रिलेटेड कोई भी रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन हो, उन चीजों को करेक्ट से परिपालन करना है. नियमाग्रह. आप नियम के विरुद्ध जा रहे हैं तो देन यू वोंट गेट दी yoga siddhis. So these are also vyavaharas, which are the components of the yoga. So yoga doesn't only include the vyayama, pranayama, and meditation. Even it includes the ahara, vihara, and vyavahara. In simple way, if I want to say, yoga has achara and vichara. When you incorporate these things in your practice, then only you are going to get the good results of yoga. Just practicing asana, you can't say that you are a yogi. Just practicing the pranayama or dhyana, you are not a yogi. If you have these other etiquettes, that what should be the ahara, what should be the vyavahara, how your vyavahara should be, then only you can be considered as yoga, and you will be easily, you can achieve the yoga siddhis. Again, next part, very important part, definition of yoga. Before we understand various schools of yoga, even we need to understand the definition of yoga. क्योंकि हमें बहुत योगा schools बहुत सारे हैं. जैसे कि ancient time में schools आते थे, जैसे hatha yoga, it's schools of yoga. hatha yoga है, and kundalini yoga है, मंत्र योग, raja योग, bhakti योग, ज्ञान योग, कर्म योग. So these are the various schools of yogas. बट इनका ही एक एक महत्व है. वो क्या महत्व है, इसको जानने के लिए इट इज वेरी मच very important to understand the some definitions. There are lots of definitions regarding to yoga, but some definitions are very much essential. So according to the some text of Yoga Shastra, yoga is nothing but a yujyate anena iti yoga, that is which will helps to unite yourself with the ultimate soul, your self soul to the ultimate soul, that is आत्मा और परमात्मा का मिलन ही योग कहा जाता है. बट यहाँ लिटरली आत्मा एंड परमात्मा, यू आर नॉट सपोज टू थिंक ओनली इन द सेंस ऑफ स्पिरिचुअलिटी. इवन इफ यू वांट टू अटेन सर्टेन थिंग्स, आपका कुछ भी आप पाना चाहते हैं, उस पाने के लिए आपने जो कार्यकलाप करते हैं वो भी योग ही कहा जाता है. दैट इज कॉल्ड एज युज्यते. युज्यते इज यूनियन. आप कुछ काम कर रहे हैं और कुछ आपको कुछ एम रख के और इस एम को रीच करने के लिए आप कुछ कार्यकलाप कर रहे हैं, उसके लिए आप तत्पर होके जो भी काम करते हैं ना, वो भी युज कहलाता है. सो युज्यते अनेन इति योगः. अकॉर्डिंग टू द पातंजलि योग सूत्र, योगः चित्त वृत्ति निरोधा. दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, क्योंकि पातंजलि के समय में क्या था, ज्यादातर लोग फिजिकली दे आर टोटली फिट, मेंटली दे वर disturbing. At that time, Patanjali, he might be thought that people are suffering with lots of diseases because of vitiation of the mind. Because in olden days, people were very much active physically. So, उन्होंने क्या किया? So he quoted the term, or he defined the yoga as the yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is that which helps to prevent all the chitta vrittis. Chitta बोले तो मन, वृत्ति मतलब मन का. So what is mind? We know mind is nothing but it's a bundle of thoughts. So एक क्षण में बहुत सारे आपके दिमाग में thoughts आना शुरू हो जाता है. So that is those thoughts are called as, in simple way, chitta vrittis. Vritti is nothing but all the functions of the mind. So it's a bundle of thoughts. Within a fraction of seconds we will get lots of thoughts. So if you want to prevent those thoughts, ultimately yoga is the major tool. Yoga is the tool which helps to prevent the numerous thoughts of the brain, numerous thoughts of the mind, which will prevent the thoughts and which will stabilize the thoughts. So that tool is called as the yoga. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. So according to the Patanjali Yoga Sutra school, that is according to the Raja Yoga school, keep fluctuations. But again, according to the Vashishta, mana prashamana upayo yoga, again he also focused much on the mana. So whenever the mana is nothing but the mind. So mind, ultimately most of the diseases are because of fluctuation happening in the mind. So mind fluctuation, prevention of mind fluctuation is itself called as a yoga. Mana prashamana. Prashamana is nothing but the prevention of fluctuation of the mind. Prevention of various thoughts of mind is called as the yoga. Yoga is the tool which helps to prevent the various thoughts according to the Vasishtha. According to the Bhagavad Gita, so Bhagavad Gita में दोनों को उन्होंने महत्व दिया है कि mind भी important है and body भी important है. So yoga कर्मसु कौशल्यम. जो भी आप any activity which is of dexterity in nature, that is कुशलता से जो आप काम किए जाते हैं वही योग कहा गया है. So he also focused on the mental activity, he also focused on the physical activity. If you doing any activity, if there is a good concentration in particular activity and if you are doing the particular activity appropriately, then that is called as yoga. Samatvam yogam uchyati. Yoga is something which balances each and everything, which balances your body, which balances your mind, which balances your all the social relation. That balancing tool is called as a samatvam yogam uchyate. Bhagavad Gita, even he focused on the social relation, even he focused on the physical health, even it focused on the mental health. So works. So these are the some of these. According to these definition, we can make out that how exactly yoga works according to the modern science. It has a homeostatic effect, as I state that it is the samatvam yogam uchyate. Samatvam yogam uchyate. It balances, it maintains the homeostatic condition. If the person is hypertension, high BP वाला व्यक्ति करे तो उसको normal में लेके आएगा. Suppose if the person is suffering with the लो बीपी व्यक्ति भी कुछ आसना, कुछ प्राणायाम ऐसे चीजें उसको अपनाने से फिर नॉर्मल से